Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Ooh, who decides to drink a soda this early in the morning? Me. Just really quick sidebar for those who are old school like me. Do you guys remember the 80s group Five Star? They were like the British Jacksons. I actually had their album back in the day. I actually recorded it for my cousin. But yeah, it was a group called Five Star. They were sisters and brothers, black from the UK. Well, I just found out that Stedman Pearson, which is the oldest brother of the group, he passed. Literally just found out this morning. Like, gosh, man, people are like leaving us left and right. He was only 60 years old. So prayers to the family. Five Star, loved their albums when I was growing up, even though I was a little girl. So prayers to the family. But I had to just say that because I'm still in shock to see that first thing in the morning. But yeah, so good morning. Honestly, I feel like I've been doing the WTF weeklies every single week anyways. I just haven't been naming them that. So I'm naming it. With that being said, we're going to talk about the lack of accountability. All right. Hey, Danielle. Hope all is well. So, wanted to talk about two things that were kind of like a highlight that I had issues with this week. First things first is this Tonya Harding of track and field. Yeah, damn it, I called her the Tonya Harding of track and field because just this was just freaking ridiculous. So this girl, her name is Aaliyah, if I'm not mistaken, Everett. She is a high school student. And, I normally don't talk about kids or teenagers, but this just shows you that we are in trouble with this freaking generation. Well, she was actually running a track meet and decided to hit one of the girls who was also running with her baton. Those metal batons. This is why I'm saying Tanya Harding. And the response from her, I'm just in shocked. I am not shocked by the response from her parents because at the end of the day, like your parents, right, wrong, or indifferent, they're supposed to have your back, especially in the public eye. Now, they may behind the scenes tell you that you full of it and you definitely should have sat up there and, you were wrong or whatever. But in the public, they are supposed to have your back. So I'm not really shocked by their response, but I'm damn sure shocked by her response after the aftermath when everyone saw this video. So I'm going to play the video. Fair use, fair use. I do not own any footage that I am going to show today. Fair use. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. So we're about to take a look at this because ooh, I'm so nervous when it comes to the lack of accountability today. So let's go, y'all. And make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you hit the like button. Let me see. Hey. This was just ridiculous. I cannot I cannot understand for the life of me why she literally felt before presenting a screen, remove other media streams from the stage. I am trying to figure out what other media. I can't stand StreamYards, you guys. I really can't. They are a piece of freaking work. Let me just remove this and see if that fine. Okay, finally, a freaking PowerPoint presentation won't allow me to switch up to share the screen. All right, here we go. Let's go.
Tonight, a Portsmouth family says they're telling their side of the story in reference to a shocking incident at a Virginia High School League indoor track meet that left one athlete allegedly injured after she claimed she was struck by a baton held by IC Norcom High School senior Alayla Everett. Everett spoke exclusively to 10 on Your Side's Markeisha Jackson, who brings us much more.
The young athlete in question says there's more to that video than meets the eye.
Everybody has feelings. So You're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right?
Alayla
Everybody has feelings. Yeah, she also, that girl that you hit, she has a skull and a brain. And you could have definitely done a lot of damage by hitting her with that baton, little girl. Okay, so you talking about some everybody has feelings. The fact that they start off with this, you focus on your physical, but what about my mental? Are you freaking kidding me? What you did to her can cause her lifetime damage. Yeah, mental can cause lifetime damage too, but honey, her mental, I'm more concerned about. Well, actually, I'm concerned about your mental too. Like maybe you need to actually go see a therapist or a psychiatrist, but miss me with this nonsense about you crying about your freaking mental. There's no way around this, but let me continue.
Everett is a decorated athlete and senior at IC Norcom High School. She would have never thought her trip to the Class 3 track and field state finals last Tuesday would take a drastic turn.
They're going off of one angle.
Alayla visibly emotional because of this video from the meet. This was a 4x200 meter relay race, and she and a Brookville High School athlete were rounding a curve on the track when they nearly collided with each other.
After a couple times hitting her, my baton got stuck behind her back like this, and it rolled up her back. I lost my balance, and when I pumped my arms again, she got hit.
It appears intentional, but Alayla says it was accidental.
But I know my intentions, and I would never hit somebody on purpose. I didn't have to see your first video, second video, 10 video. I know 100% that she won't do this to nobody.
Her parents outraged at the backlash. The IC Norcom relay team was disqualified, a ruling that a local USA track and field official finds questionable. He says a play-by-play look shows that the Brookville athlete was running closely to Alayla.
If a person comes up on the outside, they got to be a full stride ahead of me before they can cut in front of me.
The other family spoke with the news station in Roanoke asking for an apology from Alayla, something she wants to give, but she says the other athlete hasn't been receptive, blocking her on social media, and instead the Everett family was served with court papers.
I will block her crazy behind too. I would have blocked her too. And let's be clear, that expert that's track and field, you know what this seems like to me? It seems like, because first of all, I know enough about track and field to know that that is not the form. There's no way, the way that they teach them in track and field, your hand shouldn't even went up that way, knowing the form as far as track and field is concerned. Ma'am, it seems to me what happened was this girl cut in front of you before she had the stride that she was supposed to have, before she cut in front of you, and you got mad and you hit her. That's what it looks like, okay? You were mad that she sat up there and cut in front of you when she wasn't supposed to, and you took your anger out on her by hitting her with that baton, okay? So ain't nobody trying to hear that nonsense. The expert was a family friend. Well, guess what? They made that girl look worse, because when he's saying that, that's telling me the girl who actually got hit, she was supposed to actually wait until she crossed over. So that's telling me that this Aaliyah girl, she literally was like upset that she wasn't supposed to do that, and she got upset and struck her. What else could there be? And she keeps claiming it's from different angles, baby. They've been showing all angles, and everybody's been saying the same thing. It looks intentional.
Now we have to go to a city 3 hours away that everybody hates our guts already.
They're assuming my character, calling me ghetto, racist slurs, death threats, all of this just because of a 9-second video.
VHSL says they are still reviewing the situation, and Portsmouth Public Schools says they will support whatever ruling comes from the league.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let me tell you something right now. Like Shayla's saying, yeah, I think she possibly could have lost every scholarship she can think of. Maybe somebody will give her a chance after that because of all of them tears and the snot running down her freaking nose. But to me, it's giving a little unhinged, in my opinion, that she doesn't know how to control herself. And who wants to give someone a full ride to school because of that? Like, I'm wondering if people look in her background and maybe other meets or in practice if she has shown signs like this before. Notice, where's her coach at? Has anyone seen the coach? It's interesting that her coach doesn't seem to be standing next to her. Usually when you have track stars, especially track stars who are worth their salt, or any athlete that's worth their salt, you're going to have that head coach or their trainer or someone who's there. That was an expert. I don't think that was a coach. Where the coach at? Coach embarrassed maybe? Coach maybe knows that she has some emotional problems possibly. Girl, lack of accountability like a mofo. I was just like, you gonna have a hard time in life. Already kind of having that type of mentality. She's acting like she's the victim. Hey, Joseph. Yes, this is early. I could typically be an early bird for sure. But yeah, um, she may have to, unfortunately, I don't know how good she was. But she may unfortunately have to start off with a junior college first, city college first, and then make her way up if she doesn't get a scholarship, and hope that even after 2 years, they still don't know who she is by this incident. And with this generation today, I don't know. Like, I don't trust them a lot of the times. Like, could this have been a way for her to go viral? I don't know. All I know is that you're not going to be able to convince me that you lost your balance and it was an accident. Losing your balance, I would have saw you kind of like literally maybe tipping over, looking like you're about to fall. It seems like her stride was quite nice. So she ain't going to be able to convince me that it was an accident. Tonya Harding, okay? History repeats itself. Now, I guess the difference is that Tonya Harding has someone else do it, allegedly, and there was no cameras around. We just saw the aftermath of, homegirl crying on the floor, and there everybody got a camera. So her stuff was just caught red-handed, but good grief. I was just like, this makes no sense. She ought to be ashamed of herself. I can't blame her parents, like I said. Her parents are going to do what her parents are going to do. They are going to make sure that they defend their child. And they're probably also nervous about what this is going to do as far as scholarships are concerned, which is very unfortunate. But, it is what it is. I can't feel sorry for this damn girl at all. I can't. Hey, Marley. Yeah, I can't feel sorry for her. At this point, you're going to have to suffer the consequences because, believe it or not, there's consequences in life. I know social media, people pretend like, that's the real world. It's not. It's not. There are real consequences. She looked like she lost her balance. Yeah, after the hit. The hit made her lose her balance, but she made it seem like she lost her balance beforehand and claimed that's the reason why her hand went up. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Absolutely not. And you know what's so disgusting is, again, black woman and a black woman. Black girl, black girl. This is ridiculous. Again, to me, based off of what that expert said, you're supposed to have a full stride ahead before you cross over in someone's way or in someone's path. So to me, again, the girl did not do what she was supposed to do, what the actual rules are for track and field. And what she did was she hit her to pretty much tell her to get out of her way. That's what it looked like. So I would say good luck to you, but I'm more concerned about the girl who got hit. And she said that she tried to, I guess, reach out to her. The girl blocked her. Absolutely. She has every right to block you, and her parents have every right to see you in court. Every right to see you in court after this. This is ridiculous. That girl can have permanent damage. Permanent damage. So at this point, I believe they are charging her with battery, if I'm not mistaken. I think battery and the A word. So yeah, honey, it is what it is. Accidental my behind. Hopefully this will teach you a lesson in the future to maybe channel your anger in another way. What you should have done was just run faster. Okay, that's what you should have done. And you know what's so interesting is that after she hit her, she kept going. She kind of kept going. Like I just I don't know, y'all. I don't know. But moving on. Moving on from that Tonya Harding child. Don Robinson. Don. From En Vogue. Okay? From En Vogue. Just posted a video, I want to say about a day or two ago, that she is living in her car. Now, I actually have seen amazing videos of people who are doing like RV life, car life, some of them by choice, some of them because of, decisions that they've made in their lives. But for whatever reason, those channels have been huge channels, making just, a lot of views. Like I think, and I watch them myself. I think I'm quite fascinated how people can take small places, a car or an RV, and just kind of make miracles out of it. Have a whole bed and, be able to cook and do just so many amazing things. So she did a video. Now, I didn't even know that she had a YouTube page, but she has a YouTube page. And we're going to play from her YouTube page. She has I think 6,000 followers. I definitely think her follower count is going to go up after this. Last I checked, when I looked at this video, she was already at 69, 70 views for this video alone. So I guess she's going to really start documenting what she's been going through, which should hopefully get her back on her feet. But I kind of wanted to talk about something much deeper that I noticed from this video and another video that's making me say, Don, I don't know. Now, mind you, En Vogue, an amazing group growing up. One thing about it, the early 90s, man, it was amazing, especially for California artists, the late 80s, early 90s. And I'm talking about all the way from the Bay to LA. The Bay had it popping with En Vogue, had it popping with Tony, had it popping with MC Hammer, Souls of Mischief. All of them were from 87 all the way to 93, 94, 95. They was just getting hit after hit after hit. So let's play this video and we gonna talk about it. So then that way we can discuss fair use, Don, fair use. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Let's get into it. I don't know if you guys watched the full video, but we're gonna try to watch the full video. All right, so let's go.
I'm still on cloud 9017 from episode 5 because I did that on my own and I'm still just knocked out about it. Wow. Anyway, and I'd like to start this episode with a quote from Bren Brown. It's, I think, Brene Brown. Bren said, being vulnerable is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of courage because you show up not knowing the outcome. You show up not knowing the reaction people are going to have and what they're going to feel about it or how you're going to be judged. And when I first started this channel, I knew that
I agree with that. I mean, when it all boils down to it, I have definitely shared vulnerable moments with you guys on here, and I don't know what the reaction is going to be. Some may not even have a reaction at all, but hey, I have the courage to speak my truth, right? But continue.
I was going to talk about this episode. This was one of the topics that I wanted to discuss. And people are back and forth with me over this whole time, well, you shouldn't talk about it because you're a celebrity, and what if they judge you? And I'm like, okay, what if they judge me? So what? We're all judged. Life is life. And it was nobody has stepped or walked 5 steps in my stilettos. So it's real. And it's okay. It's part of being human is to be vulnerable. I'm human first. I don't care about celebrity. I don't care about being a woman. I don't care about any of the things that we think, oh my God, you shouldn't. It's like, that's the very reason that I should. That's the very reason that I am. I'm glad you guys are still with me and that you didn't give up on me. It's been a minute, like I said. So a lot of people are like, she's not coming back. We're not going to see her again. Yeah, you will. Thank you for having faith in me. Okay, that said, um, and I've always been honest too. That's the other thing. I'm like, why stop now? I'm not going to change who I am. I think that's what a lot of people love about me. I hope that's what you guys love about me. So anyway, my aim is to inspire and to let people know that you're capable of anything. No matter what the odds are against you, you are capable of anything. You're capable of everything. Whatever you think you can't do, you can do that thing. Like, come on, man. This is life. We got to figure shit out for ourselves. So anyway, I digress. You guys, for the past almost 3 years, I have been living in my car. I said it. Oh my God, it's out. I've been living in my car. Oh my gosh.
Shout out to the fact that Dawn is still absolutely gorgeous. Like, I don't know if she has on foundation, but the skin is glowing. And she definitely has on lipstick, but she looks damn good for her age and also for her to be living in her car for the past 3 years. So shout out to her.
If you remember, if you guys were with me in 2020, I did like 105,000 interviews. And in the interim, I was living with my parents in Vegas. And that was wonderful until it wasn't. I love my mom, but she became very angry. And a lot of her anger, she was taking out on me, and I was her target all the time. And I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, I respect her too much. I didn't understand it. I still don't. And it hurt me. So I was just trying to figure it out, but I couldn't. You can't read someone else's mind. You can't figure them out. They got to figure themselves out. So I was like, let me get out of here. And I was sleeping in my car for maybe about a month in Vegas. And then the guy that was co-managing me at the time was living in LA. And he said, you need to come back to LA because it's getting ready to be fire in Vegas. You need to come back. I love LA, so I said okay, and he said that I could stay with him, and so I was like, okay, but you have a dog, I have a dog. Do we have? And he's like, I don't have a lot of room, but I'll make room for you. And then when I got to his place, he actually didn't have room for me, so it turned into, okay, well, I'm gonna put you in a hotel for the night, and that one night turned into 8 months. Oh my God, you guys, I was like, no, this is unacceptable, because every apartment that I looked at, every single time I looked at a place, I would call him and I'm like, okay, can you meet me here? I would tell him ahead of time, of course. And then he wouldn't meet me there until I would take video and send it to him. And he's like, no, oh my God, this neighborhood, I hate it. I'm like, dude, I'm the one who has to live here. This is my remote for my phone. You can push play and pause and all that stuff. So that's why I'm holding this. Anyway, and it's way cheaper than the hotel. I told my assistant one day, I have been researching car life. There's a whole community of people that live in their cars.
She has an assistant. Did you just hear that? She has an assistant. She said, I told my assistant one day. Okay, look, let me explain something to you guys. For those who may not be from a really expensive state, city, at this point though, in this economy, I feel like a lot of people are one paycheck away from living in their car. But that is especially the case in places like California and in places like New York that are super expensive. You would be very shocked probably how many people are doing that and, having gym memberships and just getting by living that way. That being said, there's a couple of things that came up that were red flags for me. One, she's saying her not getting along with her mother. Now, one thing about Dawn seems to have I don't know if she's the common denominator because she is very vulnerable in the way that she thinks, or she's the common denominator because there are things that are going on that we are not aware of. But she seems to be the common denominator in a lot of things in her life. So I just find it interesting that, one, she said she couldn't get along with her mother. So she decided to actually live in her car in Las Vegas heat of all places, but then said that her manager at the time told her to come back to LA and was going to actually help her get back on her feet. And it went from staying with him to actually supplying her with a hotel for 8 months. Okay. Now she mentions that he paid for a hotel for her for 8 months. All right. Y'all heard that. 8 months. Then she mentioned an assistant. Don, what were you doing within those 8 months to help assist him with helping you? Let me repeat that again. What were you doing for yourself within those 8 months to help him assist in helping you? And I think some people forget, or they have this thing, especially if they have had some type of fame in their life. You should never be too proud to get you a dang on job. Okay? I don't care how much celebrity you have. I don't care how many degrees you have. There is nothing wrong with you taking care of yourself and working. That's just the reality of the situation. Just like Elvin from The Cosby Show. Remember, there was a big issue with him a couple years ago. I think he was working at like a Trader Joe's or something, and someone put a video on him and was like, "Are you Elvin from The Cosby Show?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he was working, and how there were so many people who had so much to say about that. He's making an honest living. He's not trying to use anyone to be able to help him out. He's working. So there's a couple things that I heard in this where I'm just like, okay, this man apparently, even though things were tight, was able to supply you with a place to live for 8 months. Did you attempt to work at a job, a Panera Bread, someplace where you could literally help assist with that? But you're looking for apartments that you're saying that he could try to help you be able to obtain. What were you doing during this time? In California, LA is not cheap. So, and she mentioned an assistant. How are you able to afford an assistant? So this is where I was just like, this, okay, all right, but let's keep going. Hit the like button.
And a whole community of people that live in their RVs, and a whole community of people that live in vans. Van life, car life, RV life. And I loved what I was seeing. I just thought, wow, these people, I could do that. I could do this, I think. And I ended up in my car, and it's been, like I said, 3 years. Yeah, I mean, I felt like he was playing games, and I knew he was playing games, and I wasn't the one. I'm like, come on, I'm trying to make this easier on you because financially, I know it's got to be hard. You're paying your rent and you're paying my hotel. Like, no, his apartment was $1,700 a month. And then my hotel was over $3,000. Yeah, way too much. And no, I'm not doing this. I can't. So, and I was always stressed.
People are willing to help you if you're willing to help yourself. And she's not telling us in this process what she was doing to help him financially also. It just seems to me that she was just trying to do whatever she could for him to pay for everything. While you did what? Worked in the studio? Like, at the end of the day, times are hard at this point. This is no longer the 80s and the early 90s when it was dirt cheap to live in LA, and maybe a manager would invest in you and be able to, pay your way. But even back then, at a certain point, you had to start bringing in money. And now we're talking about this high economy California, LA, where she just said her hotel was $3,000 a month. Insane. That cost him more than his $1,700 for his own place. Don, what were you doing?
Every week, because he would pay weekly for the hotel. So every week I was like, oh my God, can you afford it? Are you okay? And he's like, no, I can't, but I'm getting it together. What? You're the one who said to go to the hotel and you're not approving any of the apartments. Like, it would be so much cheaper to just get me into an apartment. Like, what's the problem? Sometimes I think, you guys, people want to trap you and keep you in a situation where you're vulnerable and depending on them. And I wasn't the one. So yeah, I got out of there. So there's two people that I have in my life that are keeping me going. Actually, three. One is my forever mother-in-law. I dated her son. Of course, we're no longer together. And she's like my, oh my gosh, my go-to. And then I have my assistant Nisi. Sorry. Nisi is, whoo, you guys, I swear, every day she's like, Diva, she calls me Diva. You can do this. You got this. Oh, and the third person is Evan, my brother, Evan. Nisi, I think I'm going to go and sleep in my car. I think I'm going to live in my car. I've been researching it and I know I can do this. And she's like, yeah, you can. She was gung-ho and I was like, okay. So I went up to Malibu. You know, Malibu is the place where you can take Highway 1 all the way from New York, literally. And it's kind of the place where everybody stops along the way when they're coming from the East Coast and they're heading west, to California to make their dreams come true, to start a new life.
And keep in mind, her hair is laid. Okay. Dawn hair is laid. Okay. She definitely put a flat iron or something in her hair before she got on, because her hair is laid. You would never notice she's sleeping in her car. You would never know it.
March 9th, 2022 is when I left the hotel. And I got to Malibu and the music on the radio was Avant, Sailing by Avant. I like Christopher Cross's version as well, but this version was like perfect timing. It was so beautiful. Both of them are beautiful, but it was the moment the sun was going down, it was setting, and it was just like I was filming and it was beautiful. So I didn't regret anything. I was just scared that night. That first night was scary. But then as I got to know what to do in my car and how to do it, like how to cover my windows and, you don't talk to certain people. You're careful of telling people that you're alone, as a woman, especially, and I'm a celebrity. I don't just divulge that to people. If you don't know who I am, I'm not telling you that part.
If she says she a celebrity one more time, Don, I love you. I would know who you are, but I also remember you because, hell, I bought your freaking album. I bought your cassette. Yes, ladies and gents, I said cassette. But I can almost guarantee you there's going to be a good amount of people in this day and age who are not going to know who you are. Can we stop with that? I'm a celebrity, and it's really coming off. And she said that they call her diva. It's coming off that I can't just work any job. I'm Don Robinson from In Vogue and Lucy Pearl. Girl, you better get a damn job. You better work. Everybody got to work. Some people got to work multiple jobs. You better do it.
I felt free. That was a sense of freedom that I had. I was so free. I felt like, wow, this is so different. I felt like I was on a camping trip. I just felt like it was the right thing to do. I didn't regret it. A lot of celebrities have slept in their cars. A lot of people are
Here we
not
go.
just sleeping, but lived in their cars or lived in the case of Marvin Gaye, he was living in a bread van. I don't know if that was like the name of the van or it was literally.
Marvin Gaye had an alleged substance issue for a good point of his life. And Marvin Gaye also did this probably in the 60s, 70s, or even 80s. Girl, it was dirt cheap to live back then. I'm sure a lot of people thought it was fun. All the hippies thought it was fun to do that. This is not the 60s, 70s, or 80s, Don.
They delivered bread, and somebody had it and let him live in it. I don't know what the case was, but he was living in a bread van just before sexual healing came. You guys, this is not like, oh my God, poor Dawn. She's living in her car and it's terrible. Oh, what was me? It's not that. It's not like I said, I'm learning about who I am. I'm learning myself as a person, as a woman.
Good.
And I didn't think if you would have said to me while I was in Vogue, you're going to be living in your car one day, I'd be like, huh? No, I'm always going to have an apartment. I can't live in my car. How can I do that? I won't be able to live in my car. We say that we can't do certain things before we even know we're capable. Nisa keeps telling me that when people find out, when the fans hear that you're living in your car, they're going to be so proud of you, because I am documenting this whole adventure. It's an adventure, you guys. It's a journey, and I've been documenting it and filming myself doing certain things. I can only film so much, it's from my point of view. I have a lot of footage of me just like making this whole thing work. Yeah, and I'm glad that I made this choice because I needed to go through this fire.
Can I make this very clear? One thing that I did love about En Vogue was that En Vogue, no one was above the group. Okay. This was not one person and them type of situation. En Vogue, all four of them made that group. None of them have been able to have successful solo careers. Lucy Pearl was pretty popular at one point, but to me, nothing compared to what she did with En Vogue. En Vogue truly was that girl group where you needed all four of them, okay? And I really wish that people would just kind of humble themselves and get back to that, because that would really make her some money. If the original four of En Vogue got back together, all stops, they could probably go on tour. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I loved about that group. No one was above the group. No one was seen as the star while the other ones were like backup type of thing. But yeah, I don't know if Dawn kind of had that mentality, because I believe she was the first one who actually left the group. But let me continue.
If some of you are on your spiritual journey, you may know or may have heard of something called Dark Night of the Soul. And that's when you go through like a period of isolation, a period of separating yourself from family and friends. And I'm in the trenches of this right now. And I'm like, I wouldn't trade my experiences and what I've gone through for the world. I miss my family. I miss everybody that I was connected to, but I needed to do this alone and without everybody's judgment or opinions and all of that stuff. I needed to do this for me. It's not easy by any means. You're pretty familiar with your surroundings in your apartment, whereas in your car, like every day I have to take my bed down in the back. If it rains, oh my God, I've had problems because my car is older and the insulation around my windows, my car started leaking at a certain point. I was like, what the? Okay, stop. Figure it out. And so I went to School of Knowledge and I saw that you have to get insulation. So Nisi actually bought me the insulation. I didn't know she was going to do it. And she just said, Diva, I ordered it for you. What? Okay. And then when it came, I had to figure out how to put the insulation in the freaking windows and in the doors as well. So stuff like that. My dog ended up passing away in my car, my baby, Max. You guys know Max. And that was hurtful, going through that with him without my parents around. I used to call my mom for stuff like that.
Condolences, because I know that's hard. Like, people try to clown people for crying and going through, a healing process when they lose fur babies. Fur babies are family, and hell, to be quite honest, fur babies will treat you better than humans sometimes. Hell, all the time.
So that was hard. But he was telling me the day that he was leaving, and days leading up, actually, I knew he was leaving. 16 years together, longer than any relationship I've ever had. But my baby, I miss him. Now it's like I'm really on my own. But I'm documenting. I think I started telling that and I didn't finish. But I'm documenting all of this. during those interviews I did
Sorry, I ain't gonna be able to go through
footage
all of this.
and filming this for me, and they were saying, well, people might think this is a publicity stunt. I'm like, there are many things that people have done for publicity stunts. Saying that I'm living in my car and actually not living in my car would be a stupid publicity stunt.
I don't think this is a publicity stunt. I personally think her pride is too high to admit that out loud. I mean, she literally said it's been 3 years and she's finally now telling us. I don't think this is a publicity stunt. I think she's too much of a diva. If she didn't have to live in her car, she wouldn't. And she definitely wouldn't tell us that because, her pride.
But this is not publicity. I have all the footage from Vegas to LA to prove that. So once you guys see my actual documentary, you'll know. This was no joke. And it is not something that I would have chosen, but I'm glad that I put myself out here. I'm glad that I did it. I have no shame. I am my own responsibility.
Yes, you are.
I only have me out here. And so I have to really plan ahead for a lot of things. I mean, it's up to me. Win or lose, when I succeed again, because I will, when I'm on top again, or when I have a resurgence of my career again, the way that I want, that getting to that point is only up to me. So from here, from my car into that life is going to be amazing. From this point and succeeding again is going to be amazing. I see it in my mind. I have known. Sometimes before I go to sleep, I visualize seeing myself like, oh my God, number one,
visuals
with what they did. My sister.
Okay, yeah, that's the part.
Proud of what I've accomplished out here. Just so you guys know, I have a gym membership and I shower there. Yeah, I'm a funky diva, but I'm not funky. But I wouldn't trade any of what I've gone through for nothing. Like, guys, I miss my family, but I'm proud of me. And I'd rather be on my own right now and see my family when it's time, and when things change, hopefully they come to terms with what they did. My sister, we don't talk, but I helped her so much when I first got in Vogue and through my career. And now no one is anywhere to be found. And that's okay. I know how I treated everybody in my life. They're the ones who have to live with how they treated me. So I feel for them.
I'm sorry. Didn't she say earlier that she was kind of purposely separating herself from her family to go through this journey? Did I not hear that? I thought I heard that she purposely was doing that, but I don't know, Don. It's coming off that everybody has done you wrong, but you have done nothing. That's the way it's coming off. First it was the mom, then it was the manager, then it's your sister, and you have to accept that you've known how good you've been to people, and look, don't get me wrong. I do feel that people who are genuinely pure at the heart get screwed over the most sometimes. But at the same time, it's like you also just mentioned 2 family members, and not like cousins or aunts or whatever. You're talking about your mother and your sister. But now she's saying they're nowhere to be found. I thought earlier you didn't want them to be around. Hell, you didn't want to be found. You was trying to go through this journey. So I'm a little confused on why she's saying this part. Maybe I'm tripping.
But I can't tell them how to behave. They're grown. I challenge you to do the things that are scary. Do things that you don't think that you're capable of, but you wanted to do. Something that has been in your soul, like, I'm going to try that. I'm going to travel for a year. Or you guys have your own dreams. Whatever that thing is that you think you're scared to do, that you don't think you can, do it. Be spontaneous. Be spontaneous. You want to start a business and you actually have the money to.
And I agree with that. I do agree. There's certain things that she said that do, don't be afraid to do the things that you want to do. I still think there's within limitations. Like, I don't believe in just people quitting their job in just this economy and just going head first. Now, again, if God calls you to do something, then by all means follow the obedience of him. But for the most part, I do agree with certain things that she said. And I honestly wish Don the best of luck. I don't want to see anybody, you know what I'm saying, to hit rock bottom or be at their low. I do know that this is happening more often, though. Yes, Don Robinson is not the only one. There are people who are living in their cars. They cannot afford rent. You guys know there's no like rent control. Like rent is insane. So people are literally sleeping in their cars. You know, there's this guy that I actually have seen. He lives in his car. I think he said he definitely had a substance issue, but he got his life back on track. Hell, at least he door dashes. He's making some type of means or money while he's sleeping in his car. I really think Dawn needs to do the same. She hasn't mentioned, maybe she does have a job. She hasn't mentioned it. I do wish her the best of luck, but I do feel like there is a little bit of diva, a little bit of victim, a little bit of woe is me, a little bit of that. And I'm a celebrity. I'm a celebrity. I'm a celebrity. I don't care who you are. If it gets to the point where you need to work, baby, work. You know what I mean? And the thing is, she's super talented. Like, I'm shocked at this point. Maybe she needs to like get her teacher certification and maybe start working in schools or something. But I don't know. I don't even know if will she be good with kids. I don't know. But here's another thing before we leave that was quite interesting. There is actually this channel, and it's called Halftime Chat. Okay, Halftime Chat, and they just shared this yesterday. And you know, interesting enough, because Dawn came out saying she was living in her car, but also, as you guys know, I posted and did a video on this. Dwayne Wiggins from Tony, and I just mentioned them earlier, also from the Bay Area. They're from Oakland. I feel like Dawn is from the San Francisco area, but she's known Tony, Raphael Sadiq and them for years, which is why it just made sense for her to do Lucy Pearl. Lucy Pearl consisted of Raphael Sadiq, Don from In Vogue, so Raphael Sadiq from Tony, Don from In Vogue, and Ali from A Tribe Called Quest. So it just really made sense. Three very popular early 90s groups coming together. So she's gonna talk about that. At the end of the day, we're going to play it just a little bit. The timing of this kind of bothers me. This is apparently an old video, but it bothers me because Dwayne Wiggins just passed. And there are people in the chat, you know, saying that apparently, allegedly, Raphael and Dwayne weren't sometimes the best business people. We clearly know that the industry can be shady as hell, but do we really need to discuss this right after he passed? But she kind of talks about this, but again, another situation where Dawn is coming off like she is a victim in the situation. And I just can't help but sit up there and wonder what's going on here. And again, fair use, shout out to Halftime Chat. I am going to actually show the video. So fair use for educational entertainment purposes only. So let's go.
I called Raphael and I said, hey, I found out that you had this idea for a group. What is this? And he said, yeah, Ali and me and you and Vogue and, you know, Tribe Called Quest and Tony. It just makes sense for us to come together and do this great idea. I was like, I am down. And yes, when do we start? Because I never wanted to leave In Vogue in the first place. Like I said, I didn't want to go solo. So it was better for me to be in a group situation. I felt protected. I had known Raphael since we were 16. So on my dad.
Bay Area as well. Yeah.
Bay Area, yeah, both of us. In fact, Denny and Tommy, Denzel Foster, Thomas McGovern had the Tonys before they had In Vogue.
Yeah.
So I asked Raphael when I got in the group with him, I said, did Denny ever talk to you crazy, like tell you to shut the fuck up or go the fuck home? He's like, what?
Sorry for the language.
Oh, hell no. He's like, no, Denny never talked to us like that. The way that Denny talked to us in the studio was exactly that way. If he got pissed at us for something, he would tell us to shut the fuck up. Y'all go and again, I was like, okay, after a while, at first I was like, oh, Denny, don't say that. Oh, no. And we would leave. But after a while, I was like, okay, you guys, it's becoming a habit that Denny talks to us this way. So I know I'm going back talking about In Vogue again, but that was the mentality. When you said fear-based, or are you talking about how they were fearful of approaching the record company saying, this is wrong that we're kicking Dawn out of the group? The mentality that they had with allowing Denny to talk to us the way that he did is indicative of exactly their mindset. Yeah, you're right about that.
Pre Me Too, because a lot of that was going on across the entertainment, across the world, and there was no voice. I mean, I think
not just in entertainment.
Across the world, across in different areas, and I think
people's homes.
If this had happened now, it's quite easy for if because now if this was brought up, people again losing their jobs for stuff they did 20, 30 years ago. But Raphael talks to you about the group. Now you must have had a little bit more knowledge about labels and deals and stuff. What was the situation when he said, "Look, hey, Lucy Pearl"? Did you look at the contract and think, okay, I'm not going to get 2 cents a record and stuff?
I didn't do the right thing because, like I said, Raphael, I had known him literally since we were both 16 years old. So he played in my band in San Francisco. I knew him. I was comfortable with him. He was like my brother. And we had grown up together. So I didn't feel like he was going to step on me with that contract. I thought he was going to be fair and have my back. And he did not. So that was on me. I didn't read the contract. I read it, but I didn't redline it and go through it with a fine-tooth comb like I did the En Vogue contract. And I just signed it as it was, and it wasn't a good contract at all. And I didn't know that until after the fact. It was too late by then.
The madness has begun at Citrus.
Okay. So here's the thing. I'm gonna go through this really quick so I can skip this part. And I think he's about to play some music. But again, saying that something happened to her when you had already been dealing with En Vogue, you definitely should have made sure you already knew at that point how crazy the industry would be. If this is true, you should have known that. I don't care how much of him you growing up with him since you were 16 years old, you need to watch your back, especially as a Black woman in this industry. You know what I mean? So again, she's like, no, I didn't go through it. I didn't go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And here I am in this situation. So let's continue.
I apologize. Everybody's going to be like, be still. But Lucy Pearl from the very beginning was a one-off. And Raphael, he just didn't like the fact that I was getting all the attention. And we were actually in London the first time that I noticed his jealousy of me was in Vegas. We were here in Vegas, but I wasn't living here yet. And we were doing Sprite Night for the Billboard Awards. And so sorry. We were doing Sprite Night for the Billboard Awards. And I have to get near the plug so that this light stays on when the sun goes down. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
So we were doing the Sprite Night, and one of the journalists walked over to us to do an interview, and he stood between me and, so we were standing up against the wall waiting for, it's like all the tables have different countries and different parts of the country here in America as well. So you'll see Colorado over there, you'll see Cincinnati over there, you'll see Australia back there, you'll see, you know what I mean? It was all these different tables that you go to do interviews. You sit down at the table and you do an interview. And so we were waiting for our next interview, and a guy named Lee Bailey walks over to us, and he's an older man. So he's got on his hat that he always wears and his glasses, and he takes out a dictaphone out of his pocket. He's got on like a jacket pocket, and he takes out a dictaphone, a little recorder. And he steps in between. Ali was to my right and Raphael was to my left, and we were just standing there waiting. And Lee Bailey steps in between me and Raphael. What did he do that for? Raphael was like, "Excuse me, don't you fucking see I'm standing here?"
She
and he walked away. And I was like
crazy.
I looked at Ali and I was like, "We're done. We're done." Oh my, because you don't want that kind of reputation out there that you curse somebody out for no reason. And Lee Bailey didn't even. Luckily, he didn't think twice about it. He didn't think, oh, that was rude. He might have been thinking it was rude, but he didn't care. You know what I mean? He kept going with us, and he was like, well, everybody wants to talk to Dawn Robinson and Vogue. And he did the little he did our interview right there, standing there with the little dictaphone with me and Ali, because Raphael walked away. And then our first time in London, same thing. Raphael did not like the fact that everybody wanted to talk to me.
So she's saying that Raphael was jealous of her. Again, this is her story. I don't know how true that is. I do feel like, though, considering the fact that Raphael Sadiq just lost his brother, Dwayne, this is just bad timing of all of this, to be quite honest. And I'm sure even with her living in her car, she's also aware that Dwayne just passed. All of this coming out this week, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. But, she's saying that he's jealous. One thing about it, though, when you typically have two guys and a girl, or whatever the case may be, in a group, the attention is always towards the girl. She's the standout typically. She's the beauty. She's the singer. Same thing with, remember that group City High. And what's her name? Claudette Ortiz. She was the beauty. She was the only girl. So she was the standout. That happened. So I would say that Raphael Sadiq knows that. But again, jealousy can be a powerful thing. But let's continue.
He had a problem with that. He didn't like it at all. And one of the journalists, when we get overseas, we have to do a series of like all day interviews. You start from 8 a.m. in the morning. If you get a little time to eat breakfast, and then if you can eat a little lunch in between, but you're doing interview after interview after interview, because it's not like we're going to come overseas every other day, and you guys don't see us that often. So once we get there, whether it's Japan or London or wherever, Germany, they have a slew of interviews for us to do. So we were doing probably our 12th interview, and Raphael was tired of everybody all the journalists asking about me, asking me questions more than anybody else. And so it was our 5th interview that day. And the woman said, so Dawn. She kept asking me questions. And Raphael sat up. He was sitting on the couch, but he was leaning back. And he sat up and he said, what the fuck? Don't you see we're sitting here too? Like Ali and I, because I was sitting in the middle of, it was Raphael on the right, on my left, and Raphael, Ali on my right.
Okay, look, she keep talking about how Raphael was jealous. Here's the thing also, as a team player in a group, Don, if you did notice that they just kept talking to you and you only, and again, the so-called stars of the group, a lot of times they don't do this, but I feel like if you're really a team player, then you incorporate them and you include them in the conversation, even if the interviewer is being rude and only acknowledging you. So it could have been that he also felt like you weren't necessarily having their back. I don't know the situation, but what I do know is this. I'm going to fast forward this. Let me see if I can get to that point.
Ali, it was a hip hop extravaganza. Like, I was like, oh my God, we got to go to lunch then.
Okay, yeah, that's another part where she says she's
garage,
jealous. Move on.
A garage band. She was saying that the guys were jealous of her and they didn't understand why she got all the limelight at first. And she was like, first of all, I'm a girl.
Right.
Anytime there's a girl in a group, the girl always gets more attention.
Yep. Very true. I just said that.
Second of all, you guys are not going to be on the cover of, Vogue magazine because,
mind you, I haven't seen this whole interview. I just saw snippets of it. I'm just trying to get to the point where she talks about Raphael and I think losing her home.
Girls don't get on the cover of Vogue magazine. I do. So when I get on the cover of Vogue magazine, I bring back more attention to have our album out by June. Here we are in November. Our album wasn't out. And I was like, Raphael, the bank has been calling me about my house. Wow. I'm going to lose my house. And I was telling him prior to that, I need money. I need a little bit of money. And it wasn't a lot. It was what, $1,500 was my mortgage, $1,500. So, and he told me when I signed to Lucy Pearl, because I turned down a deal with Bob Jameson. Like I said, I had a few deals on the table. Bob Jameson was at RCA and he flew me to New York and I had a deal on the table with him and I turned that down to do Lucy Pearl. So if I had your back, you should have my back like you said you would, because he told me I don't have a lot of money to give you up front. but I can figure out how to find what you need if you need it. And I was like, cool. If you just, if that's what if you're telling me that when I'm down on my luck or I need a little bit of money, you're going to figure out how to help me out, then cool. I'll sign with you. Mm-hmm. And I signed that deal. So now here it is. We're in November and we were supposed to put out the album in June. The bank is calling. They're knocking on my door and I need to pay my mortgage. And he was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Every man for himself. But you told me that if I sign with you that you'd have my back. And now you're saying every man for himself? Like, what? He's like, yeah, we'll call the woman at Overbrook who was doing the soundtrack for Love and Basketball. Her name is Pilar.
Okay, so do you guys see the pattern here? Another situation where she's saying she's on the verge of losing her home. Child, this just shows you $1,500 a month for a mortgage. She probably was living in LA at the time. That just shows you how good LA used to be. But, she had a mortgage. And instead of her, definitely doing what she needed to do, bartend, do something to kind of make her money or whatever the case may be, she was yet also still depending on someone to help her in the situation. That's a pattern here. And again, I don't know what the agreement was. I don't know if she didn't have time to work because they were too busy in the studio consistently or whatever the case may be. But as many times as she made it seem like that she definitely got a crash course in the industry, I would say that you just never take anyone's word at face value and always have a backup plan. But she pretty much is trying to say that because of Raphael Sadiq, she lost her home, which I think is just, again, the timing of this, again, I'm not saying Raphael Sadiq or Dwayne Wiggins are perfect people, but again, they did just lose a family member. He lost his brother. So this coming out is just, I don't know how I feel about that. But again, blaming him, saying I was signed with you because you said you were going to have my back. I had your back. Why not have mine? If I'm not mistaken, she said earlier in this, she reached out to him about this group he was trying to put together. So I don't necessarily know if he reached out to her, or she reached out to him, but it could definitely be a lot of egos involved in this. But what I do know is it seems to be a pattern with Dawn, and Dawn thinking that her singing and her beauty is just pretty much what's going to continue to keep her going when it comes to her life. Mama, you got to work. You have to work. Like at the end of the day, hell, there's even jobs now that you can do remote where people don't even have to see you and you could easily just be working and having a job. I'm not understanding. And again, yes, in a patriarchal society, especially in the entertainment industry, Black women definitely can be on the bottom of the totem pole, especially, when if you don't have your royalty rights and things like that. We hear about those stories all the time. We hear about those stories that people get screwed over. The actual creators, the real artists that actually do the writing and the producing get screwed over, while some of these celebrities are making money off of, publishing and royalties, and they didn't even put pen to paper, didn't even, hit a key on a piano. So I get it, but at the same time, I feel like Dawn could be the common denominator in this situation. I really feel like she can be the common denominator. And I still wish her the best of luck. I hope that eventually her pride can be set aside, and maybe the other girls, because I do know, I believe Maxine, that all the other 3 girls are now back together. I hope that eventually, the pride can be removed if it's a pride issue or whatever the case may be, and all 4 of the women get back together. It would be absolutely amazing, you know what I mean, to actually, do that. I don't think Dawn has any children. So maybe that's another thing for her too, that she feels like she doesn't have kids. It's just her. She doesn't have to, do what she needs to do. Like, I think Joseph mentioned Lily from SWV. Lily had 2 kids when SWV broke up. So I'm sure she had no choice really but to work because she had mouths to feed. But yeah, I don't know. The timing of this, the whole situation of this is definitely a quite interesting. because we do have a family in mourning. Doesn't mean that you can't speak your truth, but they put this out here literally yesterday. They posted this yesterday. You guys could definitely check out the videos, but they posted this yesterday conveniently when Dawn said that she is living in a car and literally not even, I think, a week since Dwayne Wiggins from Tony, which is Raphael Sadiq's brother, has passed. So I find that very interesting. If Dawn is willing to humble herself enough to go online and disclose her living status, why not just tip for a little while? Valid point, right? Valid point. And something tells me, if I can be honest, Manrico, something tells me that she could have been doing the temping and no one would have known who she was. They had to be like really going back to the old school to, you know what I'm saying, like really know who she was. She could have been temping. Maybe she is temping and we don't know, and she's not willing to tell us that. But I figure at this point, if you're willing to tell us that you're living in your car, you should also be willing to tell us that you're working right now or you're temping. She did kind of vaguely like say something about people with rent and working. Doesn't mean she's actually working. I think she was being very like in general. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if she's working right now. I'll tell you this much though, this has gone viral. Like I said, the last I checked, it was 69,000 views. So she's probably going to get a good, nice check from this. And it's probably going to continue to grow. Her channel is probably going to grow. So this may be the way that she makes her bread and butter to get back on her feet, to be able to do what she needs to do. But then also she may have some people who are willing to give her jobs at this point. I just don't know if her ego will stop her. Like, do you see, just based off of what you've seen so far, do you think Dawn Robinson, based off of these videos, would she do background singing? Would she? And let's be clear, Raphael Sadiq, believe it or not, is a very popular person in the industry. He does a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't know. Like, for example, the hit show Insecure with Issa Rae. Raphael was responsible for the music for that show. He was like the one who handled the music when it came to Insecure. I want to say that was probably the whole 5 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. He does a lot of things that a lot of people don't know. So again, one thing about the industry is it's an unfortunate situation, but let's just say what she's saying is true. Okay. And Raphael did her dirty. Unfortunately, not even just the entertainment industry, but industries in general, you speaking your truth about someone doing you dirty can hurt you. It can hurt you because if that person has a great reputation or they have enough power to where even if their reputation isn't great, but they have enough power to either make or destroy careers, you're kind of hurting yourself by being honest about how someone did you. The only time that works in your favor is if that person finally gets a crash course in a bad publicity or in bad publicity or whatever the case may be, and something happens and a lot of people are now against that person, like a Diddy situation, then you can speak your truth. But there are a lot of people for clearly 30 years, for example, with the Diddy situation, that never spoke their truth about what Diddy did to them allegedly and how they felt about certain things and deals and things like that. They never said anything because he still held power. And they were still trying to survive and they were still trying to work. So in this situation, Raphael Sadiq is loved in the industry. He has been able to continue. Don has not. So, that's an issue in itself too. But with that being said, you guys, wanted to bring this. I feel like there's a lack of accountability. To a certain extent, she held herself accountable, but then at the same time also played victim. But again, that's just my opinion on the situation. I would definitely love to hear what you guys think about this. Definitely leave a comment below. But yeah, I do wish her well. I do. I mean, In Vogue was In Vogue, man. Like all, what I'm saying, these women, they were drop dead gorgeous. They could sing their butts off. Their harmonies was like no other. They, to me, were like the perfect group. And still to this day, I just don't think we've had a group like that where you have to have all four of them to make it work. It just, they were that type of group. And they weren't even a group that grew up together. Like, from my understanding, they brought this group together and it just was a powerhouse type situation. So, but yeah, you know, I definitely want your opinions on it. And definitely, you know, let's see where this goes. I have a feeling if she does play this right, she'll be able to make a decent amount of money on YouTube for sure. And you know, get back on her feet. So, but yeah, you guys, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.